Hey, 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 everybody. Okay. Coming to you live, y'all. We here. I am so excited. This is actually the very last podcast of the year, and it's all about my biggest takeaways. I have learned some amazing things. And let me just tell you, the things that I've learned this year also pertain to you as well. And you will be able to glean some nuggets from the things that I've learned that I'm going to share with you today on the Dr. Kiki Ramsey Show. All right, all right. Today on the Dr. Kiki Ramsey Show, I'm going to be talking about my biggest takeaways for 2024. And I really thought long and hard about these takeaways because when you have to think about a year, right? In reverse, try to figure out all the things that you took away from that year. The list can be long. But I also wanted it to be very, very meaningful because I'm telling you, this year has been, I've learned some of my toughest lessons this year. And I said I had to share them with you. And so I really am excited about today's show. And I just want to go ahead and just say, hopefully you'll take a moment to think about what your biggest takeaways are for 2024 as we head into 2025. 25 is going to be a beautiful year for all of us. I can feel it in my spirit. And so I just want to give you, that hope and that reassurance that, you can have this beautiful year. You can. And hold up, before I get ahead of myself, I want to jump in because that's actually one of my biggest takeaways. All right. So the number one, I'm gonna start in the number one spot. So I don't know if they're ranked in any particular order, but I will tell you that this one was a really, really essential one for me to learn. Essential. I had to learn this one, right? So this past year has been a tough time for me and my oldest son. And so y'all know that I have an older son, he's an adult son, and I also have a grandbaby, and then I have two littles. And a lot of times when you have an adult child, you have to learn how to communicate in a different way. And so that's been one of the things that I learned, but that's not the biggest lesson. But communication is absolutely key in a lot of these circumstances. So, we were having some communication issues with each other. And at the end of the day, I had to learn that despite what we were going through, despite any problems or any challenges that we were having, that I wanted the relationship. So for me, the relationship was the win. Oh my gosh. And I heard that statement from a relationship series that my pastor, Andy Stanley, was preaching. And I was going through this with my son. And I was so just upset but about like all the little things, right? Because we think that all the little things are the things that matter when that's not necessarily true. And so he asked the question, and he said, when you fight or you argue, and this is with anybody, right, in your life, when you fight and you argue, you fight about all these things that you think matter. But what truly matters? The relationship, especially if you want the relationship. If you don't want the relationship, then that's another story. But if you want the relationship, then ultimately the relationship in itself is the win. And that really just rings so true for me because there's not a place in this planet where I would never not want a relationship with my son, my children, all of that, like just people who I love. Like relationships are everything to me. And so I had to really, understand that. And then once I understood that I wanted the relationship and the relationship was the win, I had to decide what I was going to do to fight for it, what I was going to do to fight for the relationship in itself. And there was a lot of, I'll say, humbling in that for me, only because, I can, I talk. I mean, I talk for a living, and communication is one of those things that I thought I prided myself in, but it wasn't, the words that I was saying wasn't coming across the way they needed to come across, and all of those things. And so guess what I had to do? I had to get help. I had to get help for not just me, but help to help us mend the relationship. Here's a lot of times what we do, especially when it comes to relationships. We feel like we should be able to handle the relationships by ourselves. We should be able to fix it by ourselves. I mean, I'm Dr. Kiki Ramsey, honey. Like, I have a PhD in business psychology. I have a master's in positive psychology. I know how to communicate. I help people communicate with each other all the time. But guess what? I am also human. I'm human. Did y'all know it? I'm human. Right? And so, with being human, that means I still struggle with things just like you. And this was one of those things that I struggled with, but I wanted to get right because guess what? The relationship was the win. So I ended up getting my own therapist, who's phenomenal and amazing, and was able and is able, to just help me walk through things from my own standpoint and get some perspectives that I might have not had. And then I was able to get us into family therapy, and we are now, in a much better place than where we started. And we both want the relationship. So it's just um it's just a beautiful thing to learn. When you say the relationship is the win, then that means you have to put all the other excuses aside that you are having, all the arguments. None of that matters at the end of the day if you want to fix the relationship, if you want to have the relationship. Don't none of that matter. And I had to realize that none of it matters. None of it mattered, in the sense of, hey, what you gonna do about it? Because I'm not saying that your feelings are not valid. My feelings were very valid, and so was his. But I also had to figure out, at the end of the day, am I gonna stand on my feelings being right, or am I gonna figure out how the heck I'm gonna be in this relationship that I so desire? I mean, yo, I, it was a big one. It was a big one. So some of you might have needed to hear that. Oh, thank you, Nicole. Yes, I'm human. We all are, and we have to give ourselves some slack. And we have to also understand that we're not perfect. We're not perfect, and I never want to try to hold myself to the standards of perfection, because I'll lose every single time, and so will you. You'll lose every single time if your standard is perfection. So for me, that is one of my biggest lessons that I learned, was that the relationship, if you want the relationship, that's the win. That is the win. Okay. So my next biggest takeaway was, do not give up hope, even when things look bleak, even when they look like they're not going to happen, even when it looks like the challenges are stacked against you. Do not lose hope. Oh my God, don't lose hope. I'm going to give you an example of this in my life this year. So we were changing my kids' schools, because I just, we felt like, my kids would be better served um, in a different kind of environment. They were in Montessori, but we were going to put them in a different environment for their learning needs. And so we had to enter the lottery. So some of y'all know, when your kids are in public school, in some counties, especially in Georgia where I live at, they have what they call the lottery. And you can get your kid into a charter school or a magnet school. And so we entered in this process. And for the longest, you just got to wait until the lottery is drawn. And for my kids, they both got into two amazing schools. I mean, just ecstatic. I mean, I was so excited for the two of them. But here's the thing, having two kids, my son Walter is in kindergarten, Mackenzie's in the second grade. Having two kids in two different schools, that don't work. I mean, for me, like, I mean, I understand for you, it might work, but for me, that's a hard thing because um, I'm a very involved parent. It's funny because I've I've answered questions about, some parents who don't want to volunteer, some parents who just want to stay a Venmo mom, all of that. I think that's great. Wonderful. I don't knock anybody for how they want to be able to show up at school for their kids, but I like to show up in terms of like just being present for all the things. I ain't got to always volunteer, but I do like to be present. And so for me, having my kids at two different schools, and the schools have two different focuses, and trying to show up for the both of them, that that was a hard pill for me to swallow. And then when I got their two different schedules, I was like, oh, this ain't gonna work. This ain't gonna work. This ain't gonna work. So um my daughter couldn't go to my son's school, but my son could go to my daughter's school, and he was on the wait list. He started off at the wait list over the summertime at 70 something. 70 something. Excuse me. Um, and that might seem like it's a long way, and it seemed like a long way for us as well. But over the summer, he just started dropping down, dropping down, dropping down, and I'm like, me and my husband Jamil, we were like, okay, well, maybe he'll be able to get into her school. And so now we've got it in our head that we want him to go to her school because it's just going to be easier for us to have them in her school. And so the summertime, he dropped down to like 16 or something like that. And then school starts. So he has to go to his other school that he got into. And then he dropped down to number 7. Now, school has started. I had to buy uniforms for the other school, and my daughter had uniforms as well. And I'm like, oh my God, is he going to get in? Is he going to get in? Is he going to get in? The first whole week of school goes by. And I'm like, they didn't call his name. He finally dropped down to number 4. And I'm like, okay, so he might get in. Now, granted, he only has a short period of time to get in because they will close the lottery off, and then he would have to wait to next year and reapply all over again. So it wasn't looking good. So the next week comes by. He hadn't gotten in. He's still on number 4. And I was like, oh my God, this is looking terrible because the time is running out. The time is running out. And so finally, I was like, okay, he's got to get in because I can't take this anymore. So I go up to the school and I talk to the registrar, and she says that they were counting the numbers because they had to verify their numbers because they couldn't accept any more kids if they didn't have the numbers. She verified the numbers, and she verified that there were enough seats so that he would ultimately get in. But let me tell you, it was looking so bleak because we were almost out of time to get him into this school. And so at the last minute, he was able to get into my daughter's school, and that's where they both are right now. But it was not looking good. But that taught me a lesson, right? Because as we were there and as we stayed at number 4 for the longest, I started losing. I was like, oh, is he going to get in? I started doubting that he would get in. But I realized that no, still have hope. I can still have hope that something's going to happen even when it doesn't look good. Because why worry so much and lose hope when you don't know the answer? The answer is not necessarily no, it's just not yet. At the end of the day, it's not yet. So if you are in a space where you can't see the other side, don't lose hope. And here's what I also used to do. I also used to not hope for things or not dream for things or not wish for things because I didn't want to get my hopes up high. Y'all have heard that statement before, right? I ain't gonna, I don't want to get my hopes up high. Well, baby, let me get my hopes up high because I'd rather get my hopes up high thinking something amazing can happen versus sitting around always thinking about what's going to be wrong. What's going to be wrong, right? I'd rather not do that. So I hope that you take this lesson from me and go forward and just realize that don't give up hope even when things look bleak. All right. The third lesson that I learned was fight for what you want. Like, you got it. Y'all, some of y'all just ain't fighting for what you want. Like, we give up too easy. We I'm gonna tell you, I used to think that if I had to work hard for it, then it wasn't worth me working for. And I'm like, where did I ever get that from? Where did I ever get that from? I used to think if it's for me, right? Like this is faulty thinking, right? But I'm telling y'all about me because I can talk about me. I used to think if it's for me, why is it hard? Oh my God. If it's for me, it should come easy. Who's who said that? Who told y'all that? I know it wasn't the Lord, right? And so I would, not necessarily try my hardest or go hard in the paint because I was like, well, if it's for me, I should already have this, or I shouldn't have to work hard for it. But that's faulty thinking. And so this situation with my son's, school was a prime example of just kind of continuing to fight for what I want, right? Like I literally, went up to the school to try to see. I mean, I didn't have any bearing over them accepting him or not, but I was present. I was present. They knew me, right? Like I think a lot of times we sit back on the sidelines and we wait for people to just kind of give us something. Ain't no I know y'all done heard it before, but ain't nobody coming to save you. Ain't nobody, ain't nobody just gonna give it to you. If you want a thing, you have to fight for the thing. Period. And sometimes harder than you've ever fought before. And that's okay. And so I am no stranger to a fight. And what I mean by that is like, if I want it, I'm gonna go after my dreams. I think it's important that we all learn how to do that. I think a lot of us have stopped dreaming, right? We've literally stopped dreaming and we have just, we sit back on the sidelines and watch other people live our dreams and say, you know what? That was me. That was me one day. That ain't got to be you one day. That could be you right now. That could be you today. So I had to really learn that I needed to fight for what I want, and I will continue to fight because that is how I've been able to get to the place that I am, is because I don't give up on me. I don't give up on me. And you should not give up on you either. All right. Number 4, I learned, and I've known this, but it really came to fruition this year, is that it is my duty to share my gifts with the world because someone needs them. It's my duty. It is your duty to share your gifts with the world because somebody else needs it or needs them. Because we be having more than one gift, honey. We be having lots of gifts and talents. It's my duty. And this has shown through this year a lot from me teaching. Y'all know that I'm a professor at Life University. Hey, Life. In the Masters of Positive Psychology Coaching program. Shout out to my peeps. And I have always been a teacher, but I'm not in a classroom, right? This has been my classroom on YouTube or Facebook or Instagram and all of that. That's been my classroom for the last 20 years. But the last 2 years I've gone in a classroom, and it's taught me how to really pour into people in a very strategic kind of way. And it has it has really blessed my life, but I also know it has blessed the lives of my students and my colleagues. And I'm grateful for that. And so I say, what if I never, decided to teach or share my gifts? Then so many coaching students wouldn't have me as a professor and wouldn't learn how to be the most amazing coach that they could be. Now, how selfish is that of me? But I'm gonna ask you the question. How selfish is that of you that you're not sharing your gifts with the world? And when I say the world, I mean the people that matter most in your life, right? I mean the people that you serve. Because when it comes to purpose, our overall purpose in life is to share our gifts with others. Is to help make somebody's life better. That's your purpose in life. But the vehicle, I've talked about this a lot of times. It's the vehicle, meaning, what your job is. My vehicle is books, podcasts, speaking, all of that. The vehicle can change over time, but the overarching theme is the same. My overarching theme is to truly help people discover their purpose in life and a career that they love, right? So they can ultimately create their own happiness and thrive. So really seen how imperative it is this year that I continue to share my gifts. And I really want you to know that it is imperative that you continue to share your gifts next year. And if you have not been able to share your gifts, it is imperative that you figure out what they are, first of all, and you learn how to share them with the world. That is your assignment. And if you are not sure about how to do that, of course, I can help because we have Thrive Society, which is my community for women, where I coach every single month on how to find your purpose and a career that you love. Right. And so I think it's important that you get this one, because I had to get this one, is that you have to share your gifts. It's either that or you dying. If you're not sharing your gifts, if you're not doing something that's purpose led, then you probably are not doing well, because we are purpose beings, and you can't live in this life not walking in your purpose. Even if your job is not your purpose, you still have to do your purpose, even if it's on the side, which is what I teach, right? Because everybody ain't so blessed to be able to do what they ultimately love or be in the vehicle that serves them every single day. And if you're not, then you need to be doing it on the side. You got to, or you're dying. That's real talk. It's real talk. Okay. Lastly, lastly, the thing that I learned the most this year was that I deserve to live an abundant life. Mm, mm, mm. Let me say it again. I deserve to live an abundant life. Whew. This one is, I mean, I don't want to get emotional, but if you understand, or if you understood where I've come from, and to be where I am today, mm, but not only to be where I am today, but to feel like I deserve to be here. That's a different level. I grew up with a poverty mindset. I grew up, sleeping on a couch in a crack house. making a promise to myself that I was going to be successful, not really knowing what success really was, and fighting like hell to make it through. And by the grace of God, I'm here today as a living witness that abundance is available for us all. It's available for us all. I mean, like, I live, in Atlanta, Georgia. I am, I have we have great cars. I have fantastic relationships with my husband and my kids and of course, my oldest, that is becoming better and better every single day. I have a wonderful, amazing friends. My companies are super successful. I'm even about to buy my third house, y'all. Like, I mean, it's just, I mean, to grow up, with the messaging that money doesn't grow on trees and that we can't afford this, we can't afford that. My mom, sometimes, she would have to borrow money from me that she gave me. I mean, y'all, it's just a blessing to be um at a place where I can say I deserve this life. I deserve this life because guess what? I've put in the work. And of course, I haven't been alone all these years. I mean, I couldn't have done none of this without God. Like, I mean, I don't take that for granted at all, right? He gives me purpose and he allows me to share my gifts with the world and also get paid for it. And so I'm just grateful. But I had to truly embrace um that I deserve an abundant life. And I pray that for you next year, that somehow you can embrace that you deserve to live an abundant life. And next year, that's what I'm teaching, right? Like I am teaching you how to truly tap into that abundance, how to truly tap into your purpose and find the career that you love, whether that's another career or that's a business, whatever it is for you. I'm committed to helping you learn this lesson as well because we all deserve to know this. We all deserve to feel like this right now. We deserve it because we are alive. You are born. You matter. That's why you deserve it. So there you have it. My top 5 lessons that I learned in 2024. I hope some of these lessons resonated with you and that you might want to take them into 25 with yourself, for yourself, because they're good lessons to have learned this year as we go into another year. I did want to mention to you all Thrive 25, y'all. My conference, Thrive 25 Women's Conference. It is coming July 12th and 13th right here in Atlanta, Georgia. And I cannot wait. I'm about to open up registration. So if you are on the wait list, you're going to get that email first. So if you're not on the wait list, go to let me see what I'm going to tell you to go to. Go to kikiramsey.com and join the wait list because those people are going to get something super special. So go ahead and join me. I would love to see you next year here in Atlanta, Georgia at Thrive 25. And also, if you are ready to live that abundant life, if you're ready to up level your career, figure out what your purpose is and find the career that you love, join Thrive 25. Join Thrive Society, which is my membership community that I'm teaching you every single month on how to build a business, how to find your purpose, how to make more money doing what you love. Okay. All right. I love y'all. Happy holidays. Happy New Year. I'm so excited to have gone on this journey with you this year. We've had some exciting guests and some amazing topics, and I can't wait to see you next year and do it all over again. All right, y'all. Y'all know what I always say. You have the ability to go out there and create your own happiness. Just get up and go do it.